If you're just joining us for the very first time,
Hello.
We're a very informal podcast. We have no official start. We just start yapping.
Yes.
Yes.
And tonight's podcast is sponsored by King's Brewery.
It's
really not. We're just
does
drinking
King's
it.
Brewery know that?
I don't think they know.
King's Brewery for all your
It's really good though.
for all your beer beverages. King's Brewery.
It's in Rancho. So
Yeah,
that
no, it
brings
is.
us up to
So let's talk about it. So on this podcast, I'm going to actually interview Mia here. Thank you for bringing wine.
we're
so
also
I can drink.
sponsored by Kirkland's Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes,
from New
Kirkland.
Zealand.
Yeah. Does Kirkland know that they're
It's my
sponsoring
favorite
us?
wine.
Does Kirkland know they're sponsoring us?
I don't think so.
Okay. So so tonight we're going to talk about
Third Saturday.
Third Saturday in downtown Ontario Arts District,
Yes.
and want to kind of ask what that is. So Mia, you are for anybody who's listening for the first time, Mia is the proprietor, I should say, of HoltxPalm, which is our retail store. She's the
Among
chief.
other things.
You're the chief designer, creative designer.
The only designer.
And so HoltxPalm is a home goods, gifts, art retail store.
HoltxPalm is a retail store located in downtown Ontario Arts District.
On HoltxPalm.
On HoltxPalm. And if you watched our Made in Ontario video, which just came out.
Yeah, we'll put a link in the YouTube bio for that.
So HoltxPalm is retail, real estate, and renovation. So it's kind of a culmination of all of our companies together. Our real estate company, our construction company, and our vacation rental company, and now our retail company. So it's just kind of
It's like basically
creative baby of all of those.
365 of real estate, interior, and design, right? So it basically is all encompassing.
Yes.
So if you want a badass house, we can make that happen.
And the funny part is, I literally always said I never wanted to be in retail.
No, I know retail's a very tough business.
I literally never wanted to be in
and
retail.
then we launched retail right at the beginning of a down market, a complete collapse of our economy.
And the only reason we should tell the story of how we bought the building. Though.
We have told this story multiple times.
Oh, I didn't even know. Well, I was telling it to someone today.
Mia's like 51st dates every morning when she wakes up after we introduce myself to her.
I was telling it to someone today, and they were like, "Oh, I'm getting chills."
Yes, it gets more fascinating every time you retell it to me.
I know. I think I embellish it.
You do
but,
a bit.
So yes, we never wanted to do retail. Obviously, it was a zoning issue, but I always got stressed out. Not necessarily in retail stores, but for sure restaurants. If I pass a restaurant anywhere and there's no one in it, I myself get personally stressed for the owner, because to me that seems very stressful. Like when you have a business, the goal is it's thriving, it's vibrant, it's busy, there's noise, there's phones ringing, there's people coming and going, and that's usually the energy of how our offices have been. So, and I appreciate that. But when you walk by a retail store and it's crickets, there's no one in there, I get super stressed out for the owner, because I feel their pain. Yeah. Especially a restaurant.
Well, it's visible, right? So if a real estate agent isn't busy, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know, because they're going to say, "Oh yeah, I'm busy," but you don't see it, right? But for a restaurant or a store, you see the proprietor, the owner, sitting there watching you as you walk by, wanting to wave you in.
But it doesn't matter. You see an empty shop and it's oh, that.
Especially when other places are busy and they're empty during that, say, rush hour.
So, yes, totally. So I was always like, oh my God, I never want to be in retail. That's so stressful. Well, and guess where I am?
I mean, I think we did good. I think we
and I'm gonna have picked a restaurant soon.
I think we picked a very low visible street to be on, behind an abandoned condemned building. So I think that's really good, right? That's all the key things you do. You hide yourself.
Yeah, we picked a premier location, Holt Boulevard.
Yeah.
It's famous for prostitutes and homeless people and things like that.
And the city might take objection to that.
That's what it was famous for.
Okay, it was in
changing
the Montclair and Pomona district. Actually, Ontario has actually been really good about keeping their portion
now,
clean.
But I'm saying previous.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, there was a 76 truck stop off of Euclid and Holt, and That's before TNA existed off of 60 in Haven if you're from the area. And so the hookers were definitely there. This is way before Facebook or the internet. So you had to do old school style. They actually get out and work and they had to put in the legwork literally in order to get their Johns. And so you would see them at that truck stop all kind of congregating, waiting for a truck to pull in.
So look, the bottom line is we have a retail store. We have basically an anthropology in the middle of nowhere. And it's not nowhere, but it's, so in order to draw exposure to the store, we decided to do an art gallery where our office is, adjacent to our store. In the back of our store.
So let's back up here.
Okay.
I'm supposed to be interviewing you, and you're clearly telling me what's going on.
Sorry. I tend to do that.
This is why you're not going to be on the Tonight Show.
Okay.
You'll sit at the wrong seat.
Sorry, I'll move Johnny Carson out of the way. Wait, who's doing?
Johnny Carson has long been dead, so I'm not sure we're going to be moving.
The Tonight Show even happening?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it Jimmy Fallon? I don't know. It's one of those jackasses. Who cares? Nobody watches that anymore.
Nobody watches that. Oh, they're on strike, but no one noticed.
Yeah. So anyway, so we have the retail store.
We have the retail store.
We've already. I was making a comment there.
I was
making a statement. This was a rhetorical question. So we have the retail store.
Control issues.
Jeez. Really? Sound guy, can you
just
mute her
going.
mic? Can you mute her mic while we're talking?
You need to just keep going.
I need a button here just to mute it. Okay, so we've talked about it. Our offices are in the back. And if you guys want to see what our store looks like, again, if you're on YouTube, we'll put I'll have our production crew here put the link in the bio so you can watch it. It's at HoltxPalm. It's actually ModTalk on YouTube. If you're listening on any of the platforms and you want to look, just jump over to YouTube, put in ModTalk, and like and subscribe to us. I would be really appreciative. But anyways, we'll put the link there. You can see what our office looks like. The city was gracious enough to come in and have a professional production crew come in and basically film a 2-minute commercial of our company, what we do, explaining our kind of a little bit of our renovations and what the future plan for our site is. And the reason they did that was they're wanting to highlight what's happening in Ontario and, kind of all the things that are happening in downtown. And obviously we're part of that, movement forward. So moving forward on this, we had previously talked about our offices are in the back and our stores in the front.
Yep.
Our offices are designed specifically in a way that our desks are massive. They're 16-foot long steel desks that we do is it's kind of fascinating. We drive a forklift into the office, we pick the desks up, we put wheels on them, and we roll these desks then out into the warehouse. And so what happens is
our sound guy actually does that.
Yeah, all of our desks move out onto these custom dollies that we made. And it's one plug unplugs everything. The employees leave all of their stuff on there, all their computer equipment, their monitors, everything stays the same. Papers on the desk, everything stays the same, and it wheels out into the warehouse. And within about 25 to 30 minutes, we basically have this empty
gallery
that
space
is then converted into a gallery. One night a month, which we do on the third Saturday.
Yeah, so
okay. And so why do you do that? So explain what the purpose of why you have an art gallery, because obviously people are going to say you don't have enough shit to do. So now you're doing an art gallery on top of everything else. Explain why you're doing this.
I do question why I do this each morning. We're always, so we have the store obviously, and we're not in a foot traffic type of situation. So we have to bring the customers to us. And we do that through Instagram, through internet, through all kinds of things. So one of the things, obviously there's an art walk that happens in this neighborhood once a quarter. That was already established. So when we first opened, we did our soft opening, and it was during that it landed on, obviously we planned it on that night with the art walk, and we did really well. People came and saw us, and it was great. So we decided that, that's something that we want to repeat. But we don't necessarily want to wait 3 months for the next, wave of people to come through. So we were like, hey, let's do this every month. Obviously, we had some plan for this space because we designed our desk to move out. But that's very much like us because we're always we're always wanting to do as many things as possible and maximize whatever we have. So if we have a space, we're going to use it. And we have desks, we're going to probably want to get rid of them at some point, and be like a flex space. So anyways, we were like, we want to do this every month, not quarterly. The city, and multiple people were like, well, that's great. That's going to take years.
Yes, they did. I remember specifically we did have a meeting with a few people at the city, and don't get me wrong here, the city of Ontario is actually phenomenal to work with.
No, they're awesome. This was during a downtown meeting.
We had a meeting, and yeah, you're right. We were told that it would take years for us to get this off the ground.
They're like, we do want to do a monthly art walk like Claremont, like Pomona, but that's going to take years. And we're like, oh, we don't have years.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait years. So anyways, we just decided to do it on our own. And we launched this thing called Third Saturdays. And we specifically did the third Saturday because there was other cities. So Claremont is first Saturday. So every month they have an art walk. Pomona is second Saturday. So Ontario is third Saturday. So we felt like we didn't want to compete with other cities, right? And it's actually really cool that you can live in the Inland Empire in this area, and every single weekend, literally, you have an art event to go to on a Saturday. I mean, that's actually really cool.
Yeah,
in a different city.
In different cities.
So literally every Saturday, you can go to a different city within a couple-minute radius and look at art, see people, go out to eat, do all the things.
So, okay, and I can tell you're going to be a hostile guest here for me to interview. I'm going to have to cut you off every time.
Sorry.
So one is have you already launched Third Saturday, or is if you kind of officially launched it, soft launched it, what does it look like? Is the initial one coming up? What is that? Tell me. Or tell us.
We've launched it.
Okay.
We launched it. We literally just go on Instagram and say we've launched it.
Okay, so not a big promotion. So we did a soft launch.
We launched it. We've had two.
We've had two.
We've had two. So the next one is November 18th, which is going to land on the quarterly third Saturday.
So the first art walk we did, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did that during the actual quarterly art walk.
So you have your regular art walk. The middle one was like on our own, and then now we're back at the regular art walk.
So the first art walk we did, I don't think were we calling it Third Saturday then? We still hadn't given an official name, but the process was the same. I know we had food trucks and there was plenty of alcohol, and we had a pretty good turnout.
We had a good turnout.
And I know that the second art walk, the second Third Saturday we did, which was just recently.
That was on our own.
On our own, without the art walk.
Other city art walk going on.
Okay.
And that was still good.
That was still good. I know we were.
we were here till like 2 a.m.
Yeah, we tend to have
party.
Customers come in and then we hang out, and if you've been into our store, we have our cash shop is a bar, and so we were serving and there was music and
our store is not like a regular store. It's like a community like hub / hangout. People come, we offer them a drink, they shop, but ultimately they become our friends.
Yeah, and I will say
nice.
So from a retail perspective, right? Because I obviously go with Mia quite often to the mall, and if you're a guy walking around with your wife, you can feel my pain. There's usually nothing for us to look at, nowhere for us to sit, and nothing for us to read while we're waiting, which is a huge miss, I think, for any retail store. Anthropologie used to do well with a lot of furniture, and we would sit there, and I'd always see other guys sitting there.
They still have at least one seat.
One seat, but they literally got rid of all their seating. And I really don't understand why stores don't grasp this concept. But we have obviously lots of seating because we sell it. But what happens is people come in, they usually relax on the couch. We serve them drinks. The wives can take their time.
We said that when we first opened, right?
No, yeah. We basically, the husband isn't anxious to leave because we're drinking, we're talking, we're having a good time. There's music playing. His wife's looking and shopping. Or sometimes it's the other way around. And what we've noticed is we have quite a few customers in building that come in on a regular basis. They have their known drink.
They have their regular drink.
Like they know they walk in and they're waiting for the old fashioned. They're waiting for their old fashioned.
Old fashioned or Jack and Coke.
But they're coming in and they're buying on a consistent basis. They're buying big ticket items sometimes they're buying smaller stuff, but they're buying, right? And so the economics of it has actually proved out to be very, very good.
Yeah.
That's been in our advantage.
What is also cool about it is like it creates a community.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is it to go into a store where you like the stuff, you know the people behind the counter, whether they're the owners or not, but they're the regular people behind the counter. You chat with them, they give you a drink, you can hang out. Like literally, I have no place like that to go to.
No, and so that's been really good. So now,
it's been fun.
Okay, so now we're pushing third Saturday forward. I know it's becoming an actual live entity, right? Like it's becoming, you have
situation.
People involved. You're starting to form like little committees and things like that. So what can someone expect? So if someone is listening to this podcast and says, hey, I want to check out third Saturday, obviously it's new and it's going to take time to build our audience.
Yes.
We're not going to act like you do one third Saturday and you're going to have 10,000 people in downtown. I mean, that's not going to happen, but obviously we're going to have an event. What could somebody expect when they come here on third Saturday on your next event? What are they going to see you do? Or
our next third Saturday is November 18th.
Okay.
From 6 to 9. So it's in the evening. So basically you're going to come, our store, HoltxPalm, is probably the hub. So you'll come, kind of check out our store. We will have an art exhibit in our office space that we talked about. We actually have a really cool artist, Paul Kitloss, and he's known throughout the area, abstract artist, super cool. So we're having him here in our store. And it's an artist reception, so he'll actually be here.
He'll be here? Okay, good.
The artist will be here, and he's like a really cool guy. I don't know all his details, but I know he has a book, and he's like with Martin Luther King, and he's marching in Selma, and he's doing all these things.
Okay, so he's an older gentleman.
He's an older guy, but he's a prolific artist and very well known. So we have him for November, but then you'll be able to walk around, and we have actually another gallery that we're debuting.
Okay.
On November 18th that we've been working on for the last couple weeks. The gallery is called Untitled, and
it's called Untitled, or it's just Untitled?
No, the gallery name is Untitled.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a rebellious gallery, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I would say our crews have been working on it pretty diligently, and admittedly saying that no one has said it looks like a gallery. Our gallery wall here is museum white, which is typically what you would see in an art gallery.
So this gallery is like black walls, moody interior. We tinted the windows gold, and it's going to have moody lighting, and it's just going to be like a super cool gallery where basically not elitist. And I can do a whole podcast on this elitist art movement that's happening in our area, but basically I just wanted a gallery where like whoever is doing art in the area can come and exhibit their art. We're not going to like overly judge it. We're not going to ask them what kind of the canvas, they painted on. Is it French linen? Is there frame, whatever wood. I don't care. I don't care where they graduated from, if they are untrained or not. This is just like art for art's sake. And I just like, I since we've had this company, I've been going to a lot of, art walks and galleries and all of this, and just hearing all of this stuff. And there's just too many rules, and
I think to sidestep on this a bit, I think we've had this conversation. So I'm definitely not an artist. Mia is an artist. She has an eye for art, and she can paint and do photography and all kinds of different things. But when I looked at art, I've expressed to you that, you've said to me, we went to the Broad in LA, and you said, art is this stuff takes a long time to make, and basically what my observation and thought process was, ugly shit takes just as long to make as good, good stuff, right? Like there's a lot of ugly art out there, but obviously beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That's true.
But I noticed that art is on all kinds of different mediums, and so I've always said to me, it was, you can't go to school to be an artist. You either are given that gift by God or not. Now, you can go to school to learn technique. You can go to school to learn specific rules and stuff. But what I've noticed is a lot of artists that we come in contact with, they're so fixated on the rules.
Yes.
And
the education.
Yeah, and I don't believe that a true artist, and I'm talking, you think of any artist that you want, of Van Gogh or anything big, I don't really think they gave a shit about the rules. I think they produced what they wanted to produce. I mean, I seen Andy Warhol stuff that wasn't necessarily.
Well, yeah, Andy Warhol for sure didn't. But I mean, I feel like they probably did come in contact with those kind of like elitist situations.
Well, correct.
This is the thing that I've come in contact with. Basically, if you're educated in art, you can do whatever you want. So you can put out any crap that you want because you're educated, so it must be good. But if you put out the same art or better and you're not educated, we don't know about that.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it really is art is subjective to whoever's looking at it, right? And so when I look at art, there's some art that I appreciate, I like. We've determined that I like art that's based around more of industrial transportation. I like photography, but I like paintings too. But things that are around, modern industrial transportation type stuff. Like, so if I could fill my office with pictures of like, Manhattan and LA and things like that in black, I would love that, right? Like that's kind of what it draws me. I like architectural components. I like cars. I like planes, right? But certain aspects of it. And so, I see artists and I talk to artists and I meet artists and just in these conversations that we go around and and I try to engage with them and sometimes they have these really elaborate, detailed stories and they'll say like, this really empowered me to think this or that. And I'm looking at it and it's like a red square. And and in my mind, I'm thinking, nobody gives a shit. I mean, I get that we want a story, right? People want to connect with some story, but I think we sometimes try too hard. And so I think, look, there's a lot of really great artists out there, right? Being an artist isn't necessarily unique. Having the gift to be an artist isn't unique. Just like having the gift to sing isn't unique. There's plenty of people that you go to church that sing that are not singing, Billboard, level songs. What's unique is their ability to get themselves out there, get people to see them, right? And that's really what makes people unique in any careers, whether it be art or not. So it is fascinating to see how you are connecting with some artists that necessarily, may not follow the rules, but they produce really, really cool things.
So I'm going to say that our art is probably outsider art.
Okay.
What they call basically like if you're not particular, you didn't go to freaking, one of the Claremont colleges or whatever to learn about your art and get a PhD, in whatever. So basically this is just like a cool, safe place to exhibit your art, which I'm happy with.
And like street art too, maybe?
Street art, just whatever. Yeah. Whatever. So I think it's going to be actually really cool because I think there is no place that I know of in the area that is kind of opening their space to just outsider art.
Well,
basically.
I know that you guys did like an artist call.
We did an artist
call. And you got a phenomenal amount of artists that actually submitted information and
there's so
photographs.
Many people who do art, but it's like they're kind of like apprehensive. They don't want to be judged. They're not educated. They're just doing it in wherever their backyard. But it's actually cool stuff and it's actually interesting. And I feel like it's actually more interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, people just want to look at stuff that's interesting. Yeah. No one cares that their whatever education they have or how many wherever they've shown before. And my argument with art is, look, your art needs to stand on your own and speak for itself. It can't be defined by the wall that it's hanging on or the name outside of the building or where you showed before. It doesn't matter. Like, your art is your art. This is what you do. And there's also this opinion that if you show one place and it is at whatever status, you can never go back. So like if you show at a prestigious gallery, then from that point on, you must always show at either that level or above.
This is why you have starving artists. Because they're not business minded. Because if I had a listing in Beverly Hills for a $10 million house and that listing sold and then I have anything else, damn straight I would take that, $500,000 house in Fontana, right? I would say no. I'm not only
my exact example.
It's correct, and it doesn't reflect negatively on me. So
I am not defined by the house that I represent.
No, I mean, because if we went by,
I am me.
If we went
regardless
by that standard, businesses would only be in high-end neighborhoods, would never also be in lower-end neighborhoods. But that's not true.
Yeah,
they're in all.
That
you can get Starbucks in San Bernardino.
Yes.
Just as fast as you can get Starbucks, in Santa Monica by the water, right? They don't say, "Hey, we're."
The thought process makes no sense.
So okay, so we talked about that. We get your feeling on art. It seems like it's a sore subject. I kind of egg it a little. So okay, so what else can I expect? I come here, I see the art, I see your crazy art, your moody gallery. What else can we expect to see and do? Or
I mean, you're just gonna kind of walk around and feel the community.
Okay, you're just really killing this here. What about the fact that we're gonna have a beer garden?
Oh,
we're gonna have
I
food.
haven't that part yet.
Well, these people are gonna fall asleep.
Yeah. So King's Brewery. King's Brewery. They're actually thinking of coming to downtown Ontario, so they're going to be a part of our art walk, fill out the community, have a beer garden, sell their beer. It's actually really good.
Yeah, so King's Brewery,
they all day.
They are on Arrow, and I want to say Rancho Cucamonga.
They're in Rancho.
And they're on
Just
Arrow.
Look them up.
And one of the owners, Jeremiah, came out. He brought a sampling of beer. He's a really cool dude. His beer is actually really good. It is really good beer, and he's
drinking Mr. Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, and he's
and
he's very business minded, and he's very trendy, but he's also very business minded. And he said, "Look, we know that the art walk isn't going to be gangbusters from the start.
It's going to take work."
He said, "We're going to all have to put the legwork in to make this happen." And kind of our thought process is, by the time we get to the summertime, we'll see much larger crowds.
And look, that's a good kind of way to end this, because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, it takes work.
Yeah.
It takes consistency. It takes dedication, loyalty. You have to keep doing it. Even if no one shows up, you have to keep going. And it really doesn't matter what happens at the event. If you're trying to move the event forward, you have to keep going no matter what. And this is kind of one of those things. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how many people are showing up. The only thing we could do is push, hustle. And if we keep doing that every month, it's going to turn into something. But we have to expect a couple of times where it's gonna suck, or not a lot of people are going to come.
Well, and I think from a business point of view, so me, as you're obviously looking at it from an artist point of view, the retail store point of view. I'm looking
at it from a business point
I
of
understand,
view
but
as well.
I'm not saying you're not, but I'm saying you're explaining it from the store, and so from my point of view, one is I noticed that almost every major city does a monthly art walk.
Yes.
They're very, very popular, and it's a great way for people to get out, not spend a lot of money, walk around, have some entertainment for a couple hours, socialize, hear some live music, have a couple of drinks. The other thing that it does is, besides obviously bringing exposure to our retail store, is it brings people into downtown Ontario. So a lot of you listening might say, hey, I never really thought about going to downtown Ontario. I don't even know where downtown Ontario is at. Well, look, downtown Ontario is up and coming. It's going through revitalization. The city's doing really cool things. There's a lot of cool developers plan to do really cool things within the city. But in order to attract really cool restaurants like Earth Cafe or Lemonade or some of the stores that we need as anchors to make this success, make our development career a success, our property values to go up, is you need foot traffic. Right. And so if you're in real estate, you kind of understand you need foot traffic. Where there is people, businesses will come. Very rarely will businesses open up and say people will eventually come. We did it, but we did it because we have a different business that supports our business, right? Our prime business.
But don't you think the moral of the story is, like, if you're in business, regardless of what you're doing, you're going to go through these beginning times when you're not going to see necessarily like a lot of traction.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have to keep on pushing forward. You have to have the same energy. If one person shows up, if 1,000 people show up.
So many people fall victim to seeing the success stories that are celebrated on social media, magazines, TV, and things like that, where you see some company come out of the gate and, they have the whole hockey stick graph that VCs like to use to say, this is how I want to see your business accelerate. The reality is, businesses do not accelerate at a hockey stick pace on the graph. They do not just boom.
No.
Now, there's outliers. There's some businesses that do it, but very few businesses are Google. Very few businesses are Uber, right? Very few businesses do these crazy takeoffs.
And a lot of times you're just by yourself doing your work.
Correct. Well,
and you know, you don't know.
We've even talked about it, even like in the music industry. I remember like going way back, like No Doubt. Like, and I remember in an interview, Gwen Stefani said like, we drove from state to state in a freaking van
for
playing,
like 10, 15 years.
Exactly. It was not an overnight success. It was a very long overnight success. And so what happens is people get this idea that they're going to get a real estate license or they're going to open up a business. They're undercapitalized because they don't understand how long it takes to build the business, and they don't have the capital to sustain that, that period. And they
the patience or the
and they think, I'm just going to go online, I'm going to post a few cute little ads, and people are just going to show up. And while that may happen sometimes, 99.5% of the time, it does not happen. And it takes years and years and years of building the business for you to get to that point. So everything we do today, a decade from now, we'll say we're glad we started it because it'll be that much further, right? And everything we did 10 or 20 years ago is, we see today paying off in the foundation that we laid.
Yeah. It's like, when's the best time to plant a tree?
Yeah, when is it? You keep saying it. I always forget. Like
10 years ago.
No,
and the next best time is today.
Yeah, no, it is true. And I always try to, when having conversations, we always try to, like, even our staff, like, you don't get this immediate overnight success. And we see
it takes patience.
And unfortunately, we see this in the younger generation, where their resumes every 2 months they're changing jobs, and I'm a Gen Xer. You would never put that you work from place for 2 months. That would be a negative.
That's just a wash.
But the problem is because they're expecting to achieve success so quickly, and it doesn't happen. It takes years. And so it's an unfortunate thing in our society.
It's a long game.
Yeah, it is a long game. Yeah, so okay, so was that something we really need to share? So
I really have to go.
I'm excited that we're doing Third Saturday.
Third Saturday, November 18th.
November 18th.
Show up.
Click the link in the YouTube bio. Watch the quick little 2-minute video on our store. It's pretty fascinating. I like it. And cool. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Damien. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about real estate and property management. Don't forget to check out all our social media and visit our website for Wholesale Property Management. You can find the link in the bio. If you have topics, questions, or crazy situations you want us to talk about, send us a message. See you on the next episode of ModTalk.